everybody to close their eyes and take a deep breath. Feel how the air goes into your lungs. Hold it before letting everything go completely, until every bit of air and worry is gone from your lungs and body. I'm sure upon opening your eyes, most of you will feel your body more relaxed, free of tension. I wish someone would have given me this advice when I had my first anxiety attack. However, no one knew I even had a type of anxiety at all, so no one had the proper tools to help me deal with it. This is something that still holds true, because if this room were to have met 13-year-old Mariana, I can assure you that most of you wouldn't know either how to manage the situation. Because 13-year-old Mariana and current-day-old Mariana suffer from one of the more confusing types of anxiety. That is, social anxiety. It may be mistaken for being shy or having stage fright, but in reality, it's so much more. Social anxiety is an intense fear of being judged, which may be thought of as just a couple scenarios, but knowing the way the human mind works, it is all day, every day. Because we are creatures that constantly seek growth and improvement. We tend to judge every minor detail of ourselves and everyone else. Now, you can see how being aware of this perfectionist nature is a problem for someone who's scared of being judged, especially being a perfectionist myself. There's a lot of misconception around social anxiety, which is weird, because it is a type of anxiety that I'm sure a lot of us have experienced at least once in our lives. In fact, according to the University of Medical Sciences in Iran, around 10% of the world suffers from it. That would mean that 10 of you sitting in this room right now might suffer from it and not have any idea. Also, for the parents present, around 5% of children and 8% of adolescents suffer from it. Your child, who you've labeled as shy or reserved, might actually be struggling with their mental health. At least I know that was me a couple of years ago. Social anxiety truly isn't just about being shy or reserved, or even antisocial. It is an intense fear of being judged. How do you know you have this intense fear? Well, lucky for us, there are physical and mental symptoms that serve as signs. Personally, every time I experience a social anxiety, I would blush, if you hadn't noticed by now, get heart palpitations, start sweating and shaking, and most of the time, I had mental fog. I would be giving a presentation in front of a classroom just like this, and by the end of it, the stress I had experienced was so much that I would completely forget everything that had just happened. Then again, I had a severe problem. You might be experiencing similar symptoms to a much lesser degree, but that doesn't make it any less important. But why does this happen? Why do people get social anxiety? In reality, this condition tends to be heritable, which means that if you're a parent sitting right here, right now, and you identify with any of the things that I've said, there's a high chance that your children might be experiencing similar symptoms. Social anxiety rises from a mix of biological factors, meaning genetics, mixed with environmental ones. Now, class, raise your hand if you have memories from your childhood that you consider to be traumatic or that affect you emotionally. That makes you more prone to social anxiety. Also, if you had a harsh education in your own home, which I'm sure a lot of you did. Social anxiety also has a much bigger impact on people's lives than you'd imagine. Because people with social anxiety avoid social situations so much, they tend to become isolated and lonely. Social anxiety goes much more beyond just avoiding public speaking out of embarrassment or having stage fright. It is also the avoidance of very daily interactions, such as speaking to a cashier or waiter at a restaurant, not eating in public, not using public restrooms, and much more. For example, I avoided talking to any cashier or waiter when possible. I would rather wait till home than ask someone where I could find the bathroom. I would not eat in school just because my own brain deceived me and made me believe that people were judging me or my food. You see what I mean when I say that social anxiety isn't just about being shy? People miss out on meaningful experiences and relationships because of their social anxiety, and a lot of them think this is normal. At least, I did. So Mariana, does this mean that I'll never find happiness, that the world is ending and I'll have no one by my side just because I have social anxiety? No, it doesn't. Newsflash, having a mental illness isn't the end of the world. There are many ways to manage it. The most effective, of course, is therapy. But just in case you don't feel ready to talk about it with someone just yet, there are many ways to manage it. You need to keep in mind, there are many strategies to manage it. Take it from me, as I use the same strategies every day to help me deal with my own symptoms. First, you need to keep in mind that anxiety is just a reminder that you're not living in the present moment. When we overthink, we tend to get ahead of ourselves and time. We immediately assume that everyone is judging us, when in actuality, they might not even be paying attention to you. You need to stay in the present moment and realize that most of the stuff, and I hate to be saying this, is actually just inside your head. This may be hard to accept, but there is something you can do called reality checks that will help you realize this. One of the best strategies is the 5 senses strategy. Now, I would like all of you to do this activity with me right now. You can either do it mentally or write them down on your notebooks. First, I'd like you to find 5 things you can see. Okay, now, 4 things you can touch. 3 things you can hear. 2 things you can smell. And finally, 1 thing you can taste. This last one may be hard if you're not eating anything, but this activity helps you return to the present moment and be able to let go of the anxious thoughts that are haunting your head. It will also help you realize that you are your own biggest judge. We tend to overestimate our value in others' opinions, meaning we believe we hold a higher importance in their daily thinking than we actually do. While you, in your own head, are saying, "Oh my God, that was so embarrassing. I can't believe I did that. Everyone must be judging me." Turns out, they're probably thinking about themselves or what they're going to eat for lunch. Second, since they are the only things you can control, your business should only be what you say, what you do, and what you think. You cannot control what anyone else does, says, or thinks, so why would you spend your life worrying about something that's completely out of your hands? You could apply this to your daily life by constantly asking yourself, what could be the worst thing to happen if someone were to judge you in that moment? Would the world end? Would it affect your personal life or relationships? Chances are that in most case scenarios, neither of these would happen. Nonetheless, our brains tend to catastrophize, so you can either accept the possibility of the worst case scenario happening or spend your life worrying about all the what ifs. Third, and probably the most important reminder, you're allowed to make mistakes. As far as I can see, everybody in this room is flesh and bone. There is no reason you should beat yourself up about making a mistake, because it is part of being human. In fact, it is estimated that humans make between 50 to 100 mistakes per day. That would mean 1 to 3 per hour. So, if nobody's perfect, why are you expecting yourself to be? And lastly, I'll give you time to really analyze this masterpiece. Done, okay? In case you didn't get it, you're not chocolate. Raise your hand if you like chocolate. Now, keeping your hands raised, I would like all of you to take a look around the room. You see how all those hands are raised for chocolate? If I were to ask the same question about any of you guys, or even myself, I can assure you that there is no way the same amount of hands would be raised. My point is, you're not chocolate, so not everybody will like you, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with not having the entire world like you, or having different opinions to them. One of the most amazing qualities of humankind is just how unique everybody is. Don't beat yourself up for not being to the specific liking of one person, because I can assure you that your uniqueness will be much more appreciated and welcome anywhere else. The key to overcoming social anxiety isn't about being fearless or ignoring its existence. It's about teaching yourself that being judged or making a mistake isn't a threat to your safety. If all else fails, just ask yourself the same thing Adele does when she feels anxiety. What would Beyoncé do in my shoes? Except maybe replace Beyoncé with Mariana. Ask yourself, what would Mariana do? When realizing the function of social anxiety, we can not only learn to manage it, but also start to see it as a friend. Social anxiety is like an overly worried parent who worries about their child's success as a functioning member of society. And learning to manage it is like acknowledging their fears, but knowing they tend to catastrophize. You need to realize that there is nothing wrong with admitting you have social anxiety. And I hope to serve as a reminder that there is light at the end of the tunnel. Otherwise, I wouldn't be standing here in front of all of you. Thank you very much.